They don't.
They don't.
They pay 3 times more than they are.
May I finish, please?
I would ask that for everybody who speaks. Everyone should get their opportunities.
In the 25 years I spent as a certified financial planner, I also worked in investment banking, in pension business, and a whole lot of other business and finance. I can tell you I had a lot of clients. Most of them didn't make over $250,000. Some of them did. And I worked with ordinary individuals who wanted to put a few $1,000s in their IRA and learn other ways to save for their own future. But it seems that America has a concept of somebody who makes $200,000 and owns a small business that's totally unjustified and unrealistic. Most of these owners, this includes myself and my own personal history, didn't get there because we started on third base. Most of those individuals did something extraordinary. They paid for their own college, they joined the service, they somehow pulled themselves up by the bootstrap, or they had help, or they had a mentor. But they spend 40 hours a week? No, none that I've ever met spent 40 hours a week. They spend 60 hours a week. They spend 80 hours a week. They mortgaged their homes. They signed personally for all of the debt in order to open up a business and start a business. A lot of them went bankrupt the first time or two that they did it. Why are we demagoguing individuals that work so hard, that represent the backbone and the very ideals of this country? I think most people do not understand what it takes to get to the point where you get to contribute a large portion, and they do, contribute a large portion of the taxes to support this country and all of these social programs. I understand that people are disappointed if social programs don't provide them with all that they want. But demagoguing people who have attained some degree of success, I think, is a poor example.
You know, I thank you for your comment. I happen to be the first in my family to go to college. My folks went to what was then referred to as business school, which is not business school as we know it today. They went to, for lack of a better term, a trade school. They were court stenographers. They took a lot of risks to create their business, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that they provided me and my brother and my sister. And I was the first to go to college. I was the first to go to get an advanced degree. And I'm proud of that. And I believe that in our country, anybody who wants that opportunity can have that opportunity. To be an innovator, to be an entrepreneur, to take risks, I think is what's great about this country. And I can give you examples of, both Republicans and Democrats who are success stories because they had the opportunity to take that risk. And I do believe that that is the America that we should strive for. But, the frustration that I have, and I think a lot of people have, beyond the differences of the public policy positions that we have, is that I think we can do better in this country than what we're getting right now. I've been in Congress for 7 months. There's a lot of heated and emotional debate on public policy, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay for us to have a dialogue on public policy. But I do think that we can respect one another, whether it's here, whether it's in Washington, and have a civil discourse and try to, at the end of the day, let the debate have a vote, and that becomes the policy moving forward. And if we don't like it, we always, in our country, have an opportunity to change that. Now, I've had an opportunity to meet with the president a couple of times now. And I've said to him, and I've said to every member of Congress that I meet on the floor of the House, and I go and I introduce myself to Republicans, I introduce myself to Democrats. And I say, I'll work with anybody on anything to make sure we move this country forward. Now, we're not going to agree on everything. But, the most important piece of legislation to equal on the seacoast that I filed so far is on the fisheries issues. And I've done that with Barney Frank. And I believe there's an opportunity where people of different ideologies can find common ground and do something that improves the opportunity that we have here in our country. And I would like to see that here. I respect the fact that we have differences of opinion. That's not going to stop me from coming to town hall meetings or listening to you. And I got to tell you, I learned this over the 4 years I served as mayor. You can get ideas that you didn't think of from people who have a different perspective. And that's one of the reasons that it's important for us to have a level of communication. I'm not going to make everybody happy, I understand. But what I do want to do is make sure that I'm as accessible as I possibly can be to everybody, regardless of the positions that we hold. And all I ask is that we try to move this country forward in a manner in which that we respect one another and the principles of our country. Yes, ma'am.
This man's patiently waiting how he heard. Right here.
First of all, I resent that you implied that the rest of us haven't worked 60 and 80 hours ourselves and supported ourselves all our life. I supported myself my entire life, and I see my investments fading away now into nothing. And then people want to put Social Security in investments and make it privatized, and we lose everything. And this gentleman back here that worked all his life has lost his job. Now you were talking about fairness, and you were talking about going back to the 2008 budget and the 2008 idea of expenditures. Why don't we go back to the 2000 budget at that time and use the expenditures and the revenues that are coming in, which means everybody does pay their fair share, and that the billionaires do pay their fair share, and the rest of us don't have to carry the balance of the rest of the country.
3% of the population now pays 97% of all taxes.
According to Fox News.
That's absolutely untrue.
According to Fox News.
Let me answer your question.
Not even close to true.
Let me answer.
This man right here is raising his hand.
Trying to get to everybody. Let me answer your question. I want to take two more. I know this individual and I've seen your hand. So, and then unfortunately I've got to go to another. But here's how I answer your question. The budget that we passed in the House does address some of the things that you talked about in terms of fairness. In the process now, after the budget is passed, the different components and requirements in the budget go to the committees of jurisdiction for those committees to review and address those particular areas. And in your case, it's Ways and Means. They are working on it, and I'm telling you, they are coming out with what they're looking at as a bipartisan agreement that can also be passed in the Senate. So that fairness that you're talking about is something that we are trying to achieve. This gentleman, and then I've got to end with this young lady in the back.
Thank you. I want to make a comment. One of them, the first thing is, I want to commend you on your ability to remain calm against all this antagonism. And to say if you were only more like us, we wouldn't have to get mad at you. But what you're sensing here is a real intense anger. This is the electorate in microcosm. And I hope you walk away from here tonight saying there's something profoundly wrong that we're not getting in Washington, because that's the truth. I know the time is short, so I'll say these quickly. First of all, jobs. They were given away during the 8 years of the Bush administration, not during the Obama administration. They were given away with the help of Congress, who enacted some sort of tax reform that allowed these corporations to go offshore and international and pay zero tax here. That needs to be fixed. One other point, that we Americans tend to say that we believe in equality, and I think everybody here does believe that. But the truth is, it's a myth. There is not equality. What we have is some people are more equal than others. And that, in my view, is what's making Americans very, very angry. And Congress needs to come to grips with that. My third point is that when we elect you guys and we send you to Congress, we think you're going to represent us. That is not the case. It's not been working out. What we have is government in America by corporate America, not by the Congress.
Yes.
The lobbyists.
And my fourth point, and then I'll shut up, and that is that it's counterintuitive, but there can be more than one profound truth in the same space at the same time. And we've got to begin recognizing that in each other. We've got to stop calling each other names, and we've got to shut up and listen and say, maybe, just maybe, he or she might have something to tell me.
Well, I'll respond by saying this. The greatest frustration that I've experienced while serving so far in Washington is that it is a very different arena than I've been used to in terms of decor and in terms of being. You know, I have worked with Republicans and Democrats in different levels, and what I've experienced in Washington is nothing that I've ever experienced here in New Hampshire. And we may not always like the outcome of a particular piece of legislation or a decision that's made at a local level or at the state of New Hampshire, but we've always, I think, in New Hampshire done it in a civil way. I'm sorry to report that that doesn't appear to exist in Washington. Now, I go on the floor of the House, and I see both sides pointing their fingers, figuratively, at a quote-unquote party. The Democrats this, the Republicans that. I think that is, it's disrespectful to the institution and to the office that you represent. And I have actually spoke about that on the floor, and humbly asking that we focus on substance, that we focus on issues. And I think that you may not, an individual may not still like an outcome of a debate, but I think this country is demanding that professionalism, and that courtesy that we extend to our neighbor, that we extend to the coworker, and the family members that we don't always care for. But we don't see that. I don't see it in Washington. That is something that is eroded over time, and I'm not quite sure how to get it back. But the way I can at least try to conduct myself is in a respectful manner. And that doesn't mean that we have to agree on everything. I mean, again, we're going to have policy differences. But I am going to listen to what somebody says, what a group says, and I consider it as I look at what I think is reflective of New Hampshire, and then the best judgment that I can use with the information I have to try to make decisions. And I've said this in the past, you may not like a decision that I make, but I hope at the end of the day, you say, you know what, I can sit down, I can talk with this person, he's a respectful individual, and while maybe I disagree with his approach or his decision, at least he's trying to make an informed decision. And I think if every member of Congress took that approach, you would see a better reflection of America. And you'd see certainly a better outcome, because there would be less divisiveness and more substance. One of the things that my wife used to say to me when I was mayor is, be careful how you act on TV, because you never know when your children might catch you on the TV. And my kids are now 8 and 6. And I think of that. I think about trying to be a role model as a father and as an American.